welcome along to today's webinar. We really want to focus on today on how to set up quickly and easily a B2C store to help out in your new sales channels or existing sales channels. So I've got a handy helper who flickers on. So my name is Danielle Dadello and I'm the Regional Manager here for New Zealand and Row. I'll be taking you through the first half of the presentation, and I've also got Vandana on the line who'll take us through a demonstration on how to set up and the Shopify store and how to get it all connected. So in today's session, we really want to cover the benefits of an e-commerce platform. As we all know, in today's market, there is a huge change and shift from B2B sales, not away from B2B sales, but to include B2C sales in there as a new sales strategy. So we want to go through the benefits of doing that, just look at the different pros and cons and different B2C platforms that we have available to you. And the reason why we're focusing today on the Shopify integration. Hopefully we can weave in some tips and tricks to a successful e-commerce rollout. As I mentioned, a big chunk of today's session will be showing you how to connect a Shopify store to Unleashed and have that seamlessly working for you. Now, one of the recently published blog post covers off a really successful company rolling out Shopify and pivoting really, really quickly in today's market. Now, it is a UK customer, but it's applicable all across the globe, really, where it was a brewery who was selling traditionally to pubs and bars. Of course, that was no longer a sales strategy for them, so they needed to quickly pivot. And within a week, they managed to set up the new Shopify store. There's loads of templates and online resources. It's really quick. And luckily, Shopify has come to the party in these times, and they have a 90-day free trial. So you can set it up and get going without any kind of commitment to payment there. So that's a really great article we recommend to check out. Now, an e-commerce strategy and selling B2C online really allows your customers to jump on your website, see what you have available, see what they can purchase from you anywhere, anytime, from wherever they are in the comfort of their own home and have it delivered. And as we've seen in the last couple of months, there's a huge shift away from being in retail stores and selling a B2B and getting to the B2C. And we've seen that across the globe, but we also see that very strongly with our customers as well. Now, there are three common B2C platforms that you may use. The first one is Shopify. That's the one that we're going to focus on today, simply because, again, they have a free 90-day trial if you haven't already got Shopify, and I know some of you haven't, and that's a really good option. It's really, really quick to set up. They have amazing templates, amazing resources online, and an amazing community as well if you need a helping hand. So it's one of the easiest to set up. We do have an integration with WooCommerce. This is done through a third party. WooCommerce is a little more advanced and will need some extra templates and customizations there. And lastly, we've got Magento. That's the next step up. So it's going to need a Magento developer, but all three systems can be integrated with Unleashed. And you really want Unleashed at the heart of your business. So all purchase orders coming in, you can see what stock on hand you have, all the sales orders going out, what is available for your customers to purchase, and it'll all be running through one system. Now, we are covering Shopify today, but it is hopefully part of multiple sales strategies. So you may still have your B2B going. You may also have Amazon and other sales strategies out there as well. Now, if you're new, and I know roughly half of you were new to B2C sales as a strategy, what we'd recommend to do is first decide what you want to sell on your Shopify store or your B2C store. Not everything is appropriate to go up, and especially if you're building kit sets or you have raw components in your Unleashed accounts. Of course, not all of these are going to want to be on your website. You should probably connect to an inventory management tool, hence us doing that today, because that's going to allow you to connect what stock you currently have available to sell, so you don't oversell or overpromise, and you give that amazing customer experience to your customers that they deserve during these times. You can also filter sales from the B2C store into Unleashed for fulfillment, so it creates that really nice connected, integrated system. Now in Shopify, you have the themes, so templates and themes that you can use and create and customize to give your look and feel, and you want your branding to be on your B2C site and not something that's so generic. So it's got lovely theme to it. Now, once you've got your setup and you've connected it to your website, you can also integrate your payment gateways. So that's seamless as well. And a lot of times Shopify can connect directly to your Xero account. So you can either have it connected through Unleashed or through to Xero directly for your banking systems. Now, once you've got that all set up, you've got it there, you're ready to market it, and you're in business realistically. So it is fairly easy to set up, and we will show you how easy it is today. Now, Shopify is not new to Unleashed. We've had it around for quite some time. So it's a tried and tested integration. And here's an example of a customer who is local to us, or local to Australia, I should say. I'm, as you can probably imagine, not an Australian based on the accent, but a lovely Australian customer there who sells teas. They've got much better control over their inventory levels and are really able to give the customers a really nice purchasing experience, which will hopefully lead to other sales. So out by the spreadsheets and in via a nice integrated system which has better control. And hopefully during these times, you're more efficient. So you can concentrate on the right areas of your business during these testing times. Now, without further ado, I really want to hand over to Vandana now so she can take us through how to connect your Shopify store to Unleashed, the tips and tricks, and everything you need to know to get started. So over to you, Vandana.
Thank you, Dee, and thanks everybody for joining in. Now, before I get into the demo side of things, there's just a quick heads up for you to just have a look at this figure in front of us. And it gives you a broad idea how information flows between Unleashed and Shopify. And if you have an accounting software like Xero or Qubio connected, how that works in the picture. So predominantly, Unleashed becomes the heart of the whole ecosystem. Unleashed will send the stock on hand details to Shopify. Shopify in return actually sends us the customers and sales orders. And the exchange of product information is based on which system you set as master. And we will cover that in the demo today. So I'm quickly going to escape out of this presentation and head into my demo accounts. So as you can see, I have my Unleashed account, which is actually pretty much set up. I've got my products, I've got my suppliers and everything ready in there. And this is my Shopify store, which I have, as Dee mentioned, you can put in your themes, you can, pretty much market it the way you want. So this is the store front. And this is the back end of the store where you decide on a few things that you want to put into your store. Now, to integrate the two systems, we need to go to the integration store page in Unleashed. And within the store, you are able to select up to 5 stores to connect with Unleashed. So this is the current limit. So one Unleashed account can connect with up to 5 Shopify stores. And that's a very common scenario if you are, for example, selling in different currencies. So you might have a UK store versus US store and so forth. So we currently have a limit of 5, but if you do need more than that, let us know and we'll see what we can do. Also, the thing that you need to think before doing the integration is to have a think about which system you will select as the master of Product Sync. Again, what that means is I'll cover in a bit, but that's a head start for you. And also, there are a few things in Unleashed that should be already ready, like your currencies, your taxes, maybe warehouses and sales order groups if you have multiple of those. So let's just get into the implementation side. So to be able to connect the two systems, I will have to simply add my store name here, so which is Unleashed set. and I click on the install button. And what that does is it connects to Shopify and kind of gets, asked for a permission from Shopify to list us as a valid app. So all you need to go down to the page and click on install unlisted app. Once we have done this, it's going to take us back to Unleashed, but this time you will see a very nice configuration page where you can start doing the connection. So the first option here is pretty much to decide whether you want one single customer for all your Shopify orders, or do you want to import individual customer along with individual order into Shopify, into Unleashed. In my case, because maybe I'm selling hundreds and hundreds of orders every day, I don't want all of those customers in Unleashed. I'm just using a single guest customer. Now this one is the status. So the trigger point for us to send to import anything from Shopify is whether the order is marked as paid or fulfilled. So you select which one do you want. And similarly, when the order comes into Unleashed, which status do you want it to be in? So I'm putting it as part because, for me, for example, I have a lot of bundles and kits that I create. So I would need time. I can't just automatically complete the order. The prefix is pretty much for your sales order itself. By default, we try to put in the Shopify account name, but you can definitely change it to be something else so that you can identify easily that this order is coming from Shopify versus your wholesale or B2B orders. Now, sales order group. Again, for easy reporting and visualization, you can also select a particular sales group for each Shopify order. So in this case, I'm saying it's online sales. And which warehouse should all my orders come into? We can select that as well. So I'm just selecting main warehouse over there. And now I'm connecting with Xero already. So I want Unleashed to be the master of sending the Shopify invoices to Xero. However, this is again something that you might want to think about, because if your Shopify and Xero are connected, Shopify also has the option to send the invoice through to Xero. So something that you need to think about before integrating. Of course, this option needs to be enabled because the whole purpose of having an inventory management system is to keep your stock values and stock count in Shopify accurate. So I'm selecting this. And as I mentioned, I have a lot of bundles or kits that I produce. So I'm keeping the can assemble quantity option as well. Now, because my warehouse specific to which sales order group it is, so in this case, I'm just going to select the main warehouse as the provider of the available stock. But if you want, you can select multiple warehouses as well. And this is the frequency as to how frequently Unleashed will update the stock information in Shopify. Now, the minimum interval is 15 minutes. But if you're not too fussed about it in the sense that you will have enough stock all the time, you can very well choose a bigger interval as well. Now, this is a very crucial information and setting, which we definitely have to think through before we set up the integration. So Unleashed and Shopify can be the masters of product sync. And what that means is whichever system is the master will update some information in the other system automatically. And when you create a new product in the master system, it exports to the other system automatically. Now, those few details are like your product description, your notes, barcode, images, and your weight. Now, the easy way to decide whether you want Unleashed to be the master of Shopify is how many stores do you have? If you are selecting multiple stores, then Shopify cannot be the master. So in that case, Unleashed should be the master. However, if you have, for example, bundles or kits or raw materials that you don't necessarily want to show in Shopify, or if you have variants in Shopify, then you might want to keep Shopify as the master, because having Unleashed as master will mean that all the ingredients will go into Shopify and you have to manually select which one you want to show on your online store. Now, not keeping you waiting too much, I'll select Shopify as the master in my case. And then I also keep this setting on just for the safe side. So in case there is some product missing, I have this on, and then along with my sales order, that product will get created in Unleashed. Now, this information again is based on if you have multiple sale price tiers based on the type of sale you're doing, you can select this variant price from Shopify to come into and map with that particular sale price tier in Unleashed. So I'm selecting online. I'll keep customer sync off because I'm just using one customer. And if you have, for example, shipping costs on your Shopify orders, if you want a particular sales account for those costs to go to, you can select that as well. So we simply click Save Configuration, and that will do its job. So it takes a few minutes depending on how many products you have to kind of, start mapping and so forth. So in my case, it was pretty quick. And just to be sure that everything is working fine, because I have selected Shopify as the master, I just try to, I'll give it a heads up and import products from Shopify into Unleashed so that the products can start mapping. And by mapping, what I mean is that in Unleashed, every product has a unique code to it. So the SKU in Shopify connects with the code in Unleashed. So make sure every product, including the variants in your Shopify store, has a unique SKU, because Unleashed doesn't handle duplicate product codes, hence it will reject your duplicate SKUs as well. So that's the deciding factor. And based on the import that I have just done, Shopify will start exporting products to us, and we will check which SKU matches which code, and we will connect them behind the scenes so that then we can update the stock information to Shopify correctly. So while that is done, I'll also do a quick export of stock on hand as well so that the products which are connected can start speaking as well. So that will do its job behind the scenes, as I mentioned. So let's go into the actual, meat of the whole process, which is your orders. So I'm just creating an order as an admin because my shop front doesn't really have that functionality because it's just a trial account. So I'll quickly create one over here. So we go to the orders page in Shopify and we create order. And depending on the products, so we can just start, selecting something. So let's say, cool. So I'm just gonna, maybe I feel like a regular brownie today. So let's pick up one of that. Maybe I need a gift bag for somebody. So I'll select that as well. And let's just take a chocolate bar. Add that to the order. And based on the pre-existing information regarding the pricing of the product, you already see that the price has been added. If you feel like giving some special discount, you can always add that as well. So 10% discount, and just apply that. And similarly, if you want to add any shipping cost to it, you can apply that as well. So I'll just say it's urgent delivery, and it costs maybe $20, let's say. If you want to add any notes as well for your order so that the person receiving in Unleashed knows about it, you can put that as well. So urgent delivery. So once this is done, I'll mark my order as paid because that's the trigger point that I've selected for sending anything to Shopify. You can definitely choose it to be fulfilled as well. Once this is done, the system will ask me to create it as an order because right now it's just a draft. So let's create that. And once the order is created, it will have this number here. So let's go back into Unleashed and go to our View Sales Order page. Now, the export of orders from Shopify to Unleashed is pretty much it's real time almost. So that order that we saw here is already in Unleashed, but it is still in a park state. So now I have to work on it, get it fulfilled, and so forth. Now, one more thing that you will notice here is apart from the details that Shopify gave me, Unleashed is a tax exclusive system, whereas in my Shopify store, I'm showing the prices with tax inclusive. So you would see that we automatically try to deduct the tax out of the main order itself, but ultimately your product price the overall total sales order total will be fine. Also, I had a bundle here, which is a gift bag. So the system has triggered an assembly for me, which basically creates the bundle for me based on the bill of material or the recipe I pre-added to the system. So that's it in terms of how this integration works. Now you will see that the stock on hand information is going to Shopify based on the available quantity. which means is you might have a stock on hand of 100, but 20 of those stock is allocated to a sales order. So your true availability is just 80. So that is what goes to Shopify. So that is how the Shopify integration works. Now, while we are at this channel in terms of how the e-commerce works, I would like to point out to you about our initiative for Good Products Matter, which is basically an initiative that we undertook to help our clients reach out to a bigger audience and get more consumers on site. So we have found that during these times, people are very anxious to buy products, but they still want to support artisan and local and specialty businesses, which you would not necessarily find in supermarkets. So this is just our way of showcasing our customers, and hopefully from there they can broaden their customer base. So if you want to know a bit more about this, simply click on this contact list button, and we'll tell you how it works. So that's it from my side. I'll probably just head back to our presentation, and there you go. So if you have any questions for us, feel free to send a query to our support team from this email address. Otherwise, we are here as well to answer your questions in the chat.
Thanks, Vandana. So hopefully that gives you an overview of how Unleashed and Shopify work together. As Vandana mentioned, we are here for a wee bit after this. So if you've got any questions on how the two systems are going to work together, please do put them in the Q&A, and we're happy to answer them either via typing the answer out, or if it's a little meatier, we can answer them verbally.
And just to point out as well, like in terms of the Shopify integration, there are a few things that you also need to keep in mind is when in terms of credits or refunds, we don't integrate that with Unleashed. So if you do happen to do a credit or a refund in Shopify, you might have to do it manually in Unleashed as well. Also, if you have third-party add-ons linked with the Shopify store, like eBay or some other POS systems, then those orders will have to come into your main Shopify store, and then from there it comes into Unleashed. Also, if you're not sure about all of these and don't want to touch your live accounts, feel free to create a sandbox in Unleashed, which offers you the same features, and you can integrate Unleashed and with a demo Shopify store and see how that works.
Perfect. Thanks, B. We do have two questions, both of them of similar description. So there's a question here, what's the difference between the B2B integration and the B2C? So our B2B platform, it is built for business-to-business sale simply because you can set them up with quantity price breaks. It doesn't integrate with any payment. So you would traditionally have Shopify as your front end. It does have a lot more customizations. So front end of B2C, because it has those customizations and templates, and your payment gateway as well. It can also integrate with your freight system. So if you wanted to integrate the Shopify with that, it can help there. But yeah, Shopify is definitely built for B2C because of the payments. Hopefully that helps.
Sorry, and just to answer Moshik's question about the fulfillment integration, so that really depends on what you currently have. So if you have Shopify connected with Ship Theory or some integrations, you can very well keep it as well. It's just that any fulfilled order information doesn't come back to Unleashed, so you might have to complete your Shopify Unleashed order as well manually. So that really depends on what you currently have and what you potentially want to do later. And I think Jamie has a question about freight. Can online system pull the freight cost into Unleashed? So the shipping charge from Shopify does come into Unleashed, which I think I showed in this presentation as well. And also, I think Mike Clarkson has a good point, as in Unleashed and Shopify, none of them being a master. So yeah, that's a very common setting as well, because Shopify allows you to have multiple images, whereas Unleashed has only one. And maybe you don't want to put the description that you put in Shopify as a storefront, and or what you put in Unleashed as a backend system. So yeah, you can very well have none of the system as master. The only thing is then you will have to manually update the products in both the systems. Jamie, the question about freight. So this one was a manual because we don't have a functioning Shopify store. But I think depending on how the Shopify integration works, if you can allocate a default shipping charge to it, as long as that charge is showing on the order in the backend, then it will come into Unleashed. Yeah. So that's more of I think it's more of a Shopify question as to whether you can automatically add freight costs to it. I also see one of the questions from Claire that if you already have a Shopify store and you have future sales, you can bring in future sales, historic sales, I would assume, into Unleashed after the integration. But the only thing is there is a limit of 60 days initially. So you're only the sales orders from up until 60 days will import into Unleashed. But if you want more than that, then I think our development team can untoggle that feature, but then it will need to be investigated more a little bit. Just to answer a question from Marcus, can we hide stock availability in Shopify? Yes, absolutely. In Shopify, I think you do have the option of keeping everything, so you will never have things go out of stock pretty much. So that kind of hides the availability if need be. And also within the Shopify and Unleashed integration, if you don't want Unleashed to send any stock on hand information to Shopify, you can keep the toggle off for that particular setting. So nothing goes from our side. Tracy, so in terms of storefront, yes, Shopify will be the platform because that's where your input of orders come into picture. And Unleashed will just be the receiver of the order when it has been placed. Marcus, talking about the assemblies, so the product has to be set as assembled within Unleashed, and you will create your bill of material in Unleashed, which is pretty much the recipe of it. In Shopify, it will just be a normal product. It's just that when it comes into Unleashed, you do have the option to automatically assemble it for the finished product. So your finished product remains in Shopify. The only thing is it should have marked as, the SKU should be identical to what you have in Unleashed, but the assembly itself remains in Unleashed. Jamie, again, that question I think will be best to be answered by Shopify on that, because I do know that you can mark a product as out of order once the stock on hand goes to 0, and then again show up in the store when you have the stock back in. But can the Shopify show stock out of hand but not actually display quantity? That is something that Shopify will best be able to answer, I guess. Andrew has a good question. So he tested his integration, and when Unleashed was the master of product sync, he lost descriptions in Shopify. So yeah, Andrew, that's actually an expected behavior. And if I just quickly show you one of the screens, which is on our help file, basically, whichever system is the master will export and update certain information into the other system. And those certain fields are your description, your barcode, image, your price. So yes, Unleashed will update the information, or not just Unleashed, but basically whichever system is the master will update those information into the non-master system. So hence, it's recommended to maybe not have anybody as master and just check the integration with that setting first. Claire, in terms of which product is uploaded in Shopify, as I mentioned, there are a few things that you need to think about. So one thing is your variants. So anything which is sellable should ideally be in Shopify. And anything which is raw material that you don't really want to show on your Shopify store should remain in Unleashed. I think I did answer Marcus's question about assemblies. So assemblies for orders. So Unleashed, as I mentioned, product in Shopify can remain just as a normal product, but the assembly will be created in Unleashed. Hence, your bill of material and your raw ingredients will be in Unleashed. So I actually can pretty much, if I show this screen, resume share. So Marcus, you can have a look at this as well. So this was my finished product. So it's actually a gift bag, which I sell on Shopify, but it is made up of a lot of raw materials. So they can all be in Unleashed, and the finished product is in Shopify. So there is no specific setting that you need to do within Shopify to tell it's an assembled item, if that helps. Jamie, the real advantage of Shopify over Magento? Well, one thing is because it's very easily it can be very easily implemented because it comes with a lot of, as I mentioned, ready-made templates and things. So even us being Shopify novice, we were able to pretty much set up. And whereas with Magento, you will have to maybe hire a third-party developer to build the website for you. A good thing is Magento is open source, and Shopify is it's a paid platform, but it's very easy to integrate with Unleashed. So that's the actual advantage, and it's very popular as well. But we wouldn't say one over the other. It's just they have their own pros and cons. Marcus, yeah. So as I mentioned, the most important factor to link a product between Unleashed and Shopify is the code in Unleashed and the SKU number in Shopify. So they must be identical to be able to build a connection. So I understand that you might have a very different type of coding for internal and external purposes, but if possible, you would want to keep your SKUs and codes identical, but maybe descriptions different. And then maybe not have any of them as master, so that you can specify a particular description within Shopify and a particular description within Unleashed, and have those details in both the systems.
And Vandana, just on that, is there any way of hiding the product codes from your customer when they're purchasing if they're not very user friendly?
So that will you mean within the Shopify store?
Yeah.
I believe so, but I haven't honestly done much testing to it. I'm sure there must be some setting which you can do, but don't quote me on that. I haven't done the testing.
Thanks, Vandana. Maybe a question for Shopify there. It is a little bit outside of Unleashed's realm.
Cool. I hope we haven't missed any questions. Just quickly.
I do see that there were quite a few questions in chat, so we've tried to get through those. It is a little bit easier to manage in the Q&A, so we've answered everything in the Q&A, but if there's anything outstanding, pop them in there, because that's where we can really get to manage the questions coming in and what we've answered, what we've missed, and we don't want to miss anything. We still have time on the webinar, so if you've got any questions, feel free to pop them into that Q&A and we can cover them off.
I think Jamie does have a question on the chat, which was about Unleashed description to be extended for more than 150 characters. So Jamie, sorry about that, but that's the character limit for Unleashed here. We can definitely put it across as an improvement request, but for now we can't extend it. The solution or our suggestion would be to rather put those things in a note maybe. So the notes have much broader character limit. Okay, Mike says I'm pretty sure you can hide the SKU in Shopify front if you want. So that's there.
Yeah, I'd assume so too. Otherwise, you could very easily look at that SKU number and Google it and find out all sorts. So I'm sure you can. Thanks, Mike.
So Jamie, in Unleashed, we can only have one image per customer record. And in Shopify, you can have multiple. So if Unleashed is set as master, that's again a problem because Unleashed will override all your existing Shopify images and will only show one. So if you have that option, then you will want to keep either Shopify as the master so that you can have your multiple images there, or none as the master so that Shopify can hold multiple images, whereas Unleashed will have just one default. Andrew, just so that I'm comprehending this correctly, the fields that we do map between Unleashed and Shopify for each product are these. So your code and SKU is the deciding factor, as I mentioned. But then based on which system is the master, we will update these 5 fields, of course, excluding stock on hand because Unleashed can only be the master of stock on hand. So your title is linked with description, notes and body, and so forth. So that's why you might see that if Unleashed is set as the master, your title in Shopify will get updated with our description. So all of this is in a help file as well if you want to have a look.
Okay, and I have posted in the answers the help file. So that's just help.unleashsoftware.com, and that has all of our documentation on all of the integrations, including Shopify. Okay, so it looks like we've answered all the questions, but if we haven't and you've got some other questions, or if you need a helping hand at any stage, please do reach out to us. Simply email us support@unleashsoftware.com. Vandana's still got the help file up, so that's got some amazing resources there. So thank you very much again for joining today's webinar. All the best in your Shopify and Unleashed adventures, and again, we're here to help. But bye-bye for now.